What do you get when you cross cutting-edge tech with a sinister paint job? The P-61 Black Widow, the world's first dedicated night fighter and World War II's ultimate nocturnal predator. This wasn't just a plane, it was an airborne shadow, prowling the darkness with a mission to obliterate anything caught in its radar's grasp. Designed for the blackest skies, this twin-boomed beauty combined stealth, speed, and sheer firepower, with engines roaring like a banshee and a glossy black coat that swallowed searchlights whole. The Widow was a ghost with a vendetta. For pilots, it was electrifying and terrifying, a bat out of hell that could either be your savior or your doom if you didn't respect her quirks. As one flyer put it, she's like a loyal dog, faithful, fearless, but bite her the wrong way and you're toast. World War II was no 9-to-5 affair. When the sun set, the fight was far from over. The skies turned into a chaotic battlefield, with enemy bombers using the cover of darkness to wreak havoc. Early British night fighters were little more than daytime planes thrown into a night shift they weren't ready for. Watching their allies struggle, the US Army Air Forces knew they needed a game changer, an aircraft built specifically for the shadows. Enter the P-61 Black Widow, a bold gamble by an underdog in the aviation world. Northrop Aircraft Corporation, a relatively unknown player at the time, seized the opportunity. While giants like Lockheed and Grumman were buried in other commitments, Northrop promised to deliver something revolutionary, and boy did they. In November 1940, the US gave Northrop the green light to design the first ever dedicated night fighter. The requirements were ambitious. It needed radar to see in the dark, enough firepower to take down bombers, and the stamina to patrol for hours. The result? A sleek, futuristic design that was as intimidating as it was innovative. The Black Widow's twin-boom design made it look more like a science fiction spacecraft than a World War II aircraft. At 50 feet long with a wingspan of 66 feet, it was massive for a fighter, yet every inch of it was purposeful. Its central fuselage housed 3 crew members, a pilot, a gunner, and a radar operator, a new role in aviation. This operator manned the SCR-720 radar, which could sniff out enemies miles away, making the Black Widow a hunter in the skies. The radar was revolutionary, but so was the idea of a dedicated night fighter. Northrop had to think outside the box, creating a plane that could outperform anything else in the darkest of skies. It wasn't just about speed or guns. It was about dominance in a dimension of warfare that had been neglected for too long. Despite Northrop's lack of pedigree, their gamble paid off. The P-61 Black Widow wasn't just a plane. It was proof that even the underdog could change the game. With its menacing silhouette and cutting-edge tech, it became the poster child for nocturnal combat, ready to give the Axis forces sleepless nights. In the shadowy world of night fighting, the P-61 Black Widow had one secret weapon that made it the predator of the skies, the SCR-720 radar. Forget night vision goggles or luck. This was cutting-edge tech, the ultimate flashlight for finding enemies hiding in the dark. Developed by the brainiacs at MIT's Radiation Laboratory and the US Army Signal Corps, the SCR-720 was no ordinary gadget. Housed in the Black Widow's nose like a technological third eye, this radar was a game-changer. With a detection range of 5 to 10 miles, it could pinpoint enemy planes before they even knew the Widow was there. It operated using a 30-inch rotating scanner receiver dish under a protective fiberglass bubble, beaming precision signals into the void. In simpler terms, it turned the pitch black sky into a glowing target range. The radar wasn't just a passive tool, it was a strategic weapon. Its advanced features included identification friend or foe, IFF, capabilities, which prevented friendly fire accidents and ensured pilots didn't blast their own buddies out of the sky. And the helical scan antenna system? Pure genius. It created a narrow, focused beam that cut through interference like a hot knife through butter, making enemy planes stand out like sore thumbs. But having the radar wasn't enough. Someone had to operate it. That's where the radar operator came in, sitting right behind the pilot and gunner. This unsung hero of the crew tracked enemies and guided the pilot to interception. Imagine being the navigator on a deadly scavenger hunt, using a glowing screen to steer the Widow into attack position. It was high-stakes teamwork at its finest. The SCR-720 radar wasn't just a marvel of its time, it was a leap into the future. Its success was a testament to collaboration, with US and British scientists pooling their expertise to miniaturize radar technology. The cavity magnetron, a critical component, allowed for compact and powerful radar systems, paving the way for the SCR-720's brilliance. Thanks to this technological wonder, the P-61 Black Widow could engage targets in utter darkness without ever making visual contact. If you were in the sky and the Widow's radar locked onto you, one thing was certain: you wouldn't see it coming, but you'd definitely feel it. When it came to firepower, the P-61 Black Widow didn't mess around. This wasn't just a night fighter. It was a flying fortress with an attitude. Designed to dominate the skies, the Widow packed enough heat to make enemy planes think twice about showing up after dark. The Black Widow's arsenal was a symphony of destruction. Mounted beneath its belly were four 20mm Hispano M2 cannons, capable of ripping through bomber fuselages like a hot knife through butter. For added flair and fear, it sported four 50 caliber M2 Browning machine guns and a remote-controlled dorsal turret. This turret wasn't just there for show. It could swivel to rain lead in almost any direction, making the Widow a deadly force, whether you were coming, going, or foolishly loitering nearby. The gunner had control of his turret, but in a pinch, the pilot could take the reins, adding versatility to its already impressive repertoire. Each weapon was meticulously positioned to ensure maximum damage without compromising the aircraft's aerodynamic prowess. This wasn't just about spraying bullets. It was precision destruction, tailor-made for night fighting. But what truly made the Widow's arsenal shine was its integration with its radar. The SCR-720 radar allowed the crew to lock onto targets long before they were within visual range. This meant the Widow could engage enemies stealthily, often catching them completely unaware. By the time you saw the Widow, it was already too late. The Widow wasn't just about offensive might. It was about survival too. Its firepower was paired with robust engineering, ensuring it could handle prolonged dogfights without breaking a sweat. The result? A plane that could hold its own against bombers, fighters, or anything unlucky enough to enter its crosshairs. In the hands of skilled pilots and gunners, the Widow's arsenal made it one of the most feared aircraft of World War II. If you were an enemy pilot, hearing the Widow's guns crackle in the night was more than just terrifying. It was your last wake-up call. Stealth isn't just about staying quiet. It's about staying invisible. P-61 Black Widow mastered both, thanks in part to its ingenious glossy black paint job. This wasn't just an aesthetic choice. It was a tactical masterpiece designed to make the Widow disappear into the night. During World War II, researchers at MIT conducted extensive tests to determine the optimal camouflage for night fighters. The goal? Evade detection from both enemy searchlights and ground observers. The surprising result was glossy black paint. Yes, glossy. Unlike matte finishes, which absorb light, glossy paint reflected it away, effectively bending the rules of visibility. When a searchlight beam hit the Widow, it didn't reveal its presence. It slid off like water on oil, leaving the aircraft cloaked in mystery. The black paint wasn't just a single coat slapped on for good measure. It had to be durable enough to withstand the rigors of combat while maintaining its glossy finish. This was no small feat, considering the Widow often operated in harsh weather conditions. The paint's resilience ensured that the plane could remain a phantom in the sky mission after mission. Beyond practicality, the black paint gave the Widow an aura of menace. Imagine staring up at the night sky and catching the faintest glimmer of something sleek and silent streaking overhead. For those on the receiving end of its fury, the Widow's appearance was as terrifying as its armament. This innovation wasn't without competition. Other color schemes, including olive drab and matte black, were tested. Yet, none matched the glossy black's ability to make the Widow nearly undetectable. It was a simple yet effective solution that turned the plane into a true nightmare for the enemy. Combined with its advanced radar, the paint job turned the Widow into a master of the unseen. It could prowl the skies, pick off targets, and disappear without a trace. In the world of night fighting, this wasn't just an advantage, it was a superpower. If searchlights were the eyes, the Widow's paint job was a magician's vanishing act, leaving its foes grasping at shadows. The P-61 Black Widow didn't sneak onto the scene. It announced itself with flair. Its public debut in January 1944 was nothing short of theatrical. As 75,000 people packed the Los Angeles Coliseum for an Army-Navy show, the Widow roared overhead in a nighttime flyover. The crowd couldn't see it, only hear its twin engines growling through the darkness. A haunting serenade for America's new night fighter. But the Widow's journey to active duty wasn't as smooth as its flight. After an unveiling, the plane was handed to the 422nd Night Fighter Squadron, which became the first to fly it in Europe on May 23, 1944. The 425th Squadron followed shortly, but by the time they received their aircraft, the D-Day invasion had come and gone, leaving the Widow's pilots eager for their chance to prove its mettle. That chance came with the German V-1 buzz bomb. Known for its terrifying sound and devastating impact, the V-1 was a priority target, and the Widow was tasked with hunting them down. This was no easy feat. The V-1's high speed and erratic flight path pushed the Widow's capabilities to the limit. Yet, it rose to the challenge, leveraging its radar and firepower to intercept and destroy these flying menaces before they could wreak havoc. Meanwhile, in the Mediterranean, the 414th Squadron took delivery of their Black Widows in December 1944. Their timing couldn't have been more critical, as they joined forces with the 422nd Squadron during the Battle of the Bulge. The Widow faced not just enemy aircraft, but also harsh weather and unforgiving terrain. These early missions highlighted both the strengths and limitations of the aircraft, pushing its crews to innovate and adapt. Though combat was sparse, the Widow quickly made an impression. With its stealthy radar, glossy black camouflage, and lethal arsenal, it wasn't just a plane, it was a predator. For the crews flying it, the Widow wasn't perfect, but it was theirs, and it was ready to write its name in the annals of aerial warfare. If the P-61 Black Widow had a middle name, it would have been drama. Every mission the Widow flew seemed to be dripping with tension, danger, and a dash of cinematic flair. This plane wasn't just about firepower. It was about heart-stopping moments in the dead of night. One of the Widow's first legendary encounters occurred over Aoi Island, where Flight Lieutenant Owen Wolfe and Radio Officer Byron Elaine faced off against a Japanese twin-engine bomber. Bad weather had scrambled their radar, but the Widow wasn't one to back down. Wolfe maneuvered through the storm like a man possessed, catching up to the enemy aircraft. With a burst of firepower, the Widow lit up the night sky, sending the bomber spiraling into the ocean. In Europe, the Widow proved its mettle during the Battle of the Bulge. Lieutenant Van Nieuwswinder, piloting his P-61 Daisy May, chased a German Messerschmitt 410 over treetops. Despite pushing the Widow to its limit, the faster Me-410 escaped, a rare moment of frustration for the otherwise fearsome night fighter. Still, the Widow's crew remained undeterred, knowing that its radar and weapons often turned the tide in their favor. Perhaps the most famous Widow of them all was Captain Lee Kendall's Lady in the Dark. This aircraft earned its place in history, with two remarkable victories on the final night of World War II and even a day after hostilities officially ended. In both cases, Kendall pursued Japanese kamikaze planes with relentless determination, forcing them to crash through sheer pressure rather than direct hits. The Lady in the Dark became a symbol of the Widow's resilience and tenacity. Despite its triumphs, the Widow wasn't invincible. Supply shortages often grounded squadrons, and its slower speed compared to newer German fighters posed challenges. Yet, it remained a steadfast guardian of the night, claiming 127 enemy aircraft and 18 German V-1 buzz bombs during its service. Each combat story reinforced the Widow's legacy. Whether prowling the Pacific or defending European skies, the Black Widow was more than a plane. It was a testament to ingenuity and grit, proving that in the darkness, it was a force to be reckoned with. No plane is perfect, and the P-61 Black Widow was no exception. Despite its innovation and firepower, it wasn't without its flaws, some of which became glaringly apparent during its service. Speed was the Widow's Achilles' heel. While it could hit a respectable 366 miles per hour, it lagged behind the faster German fighters like the Messerschmitt 410, and even the nimble V-1 buzz bombs it was tasked to intercept. Pilots often found themselves gritting their teeth as enemy aircraft pulled away, leaving the Widow trailing in frustration. If only she had a turbocharger, some would mutter, a sentiment echoed by engineers who worked tirelessly to enhance the plane's performance, though their efforts never quite closed the gap. Then there was the size. The Widow was massive for a fighter, boasting a 66-foot wingspan and a hefty combat weight of over 29,000 pounds. This made it less maneuverable compared to smaller aircraft, a disadvantage in the quick, twisting dogfights that characterized air combat. It was more of a brawler than a dancer, capable of packing a punch punch, but slower to dodge. Maintenance was another thorn in the Widow's side. As a smaller company, Northrop struggled to keep up with production demands, leaving squadrons facing critical shortages of spare parts. Crews had to improvise repairs or cannibalize other planes just to keep their Black Widows airborne. The logistical headaches were a persistent issue, especially in the European theater, where the pace of operations left little room for mechanical hiccups. Lastly, its late arrival to the war was perhaps the Widow's most significant shortcoming. By the time it entered service in 1944, the tide of war had already turned. In Europe, the British Mosquito, faster and more versatile, began to overshadow the Widow, while in the Pacific, the dwindling Japanese Air Force offered fewer opportunities for glory. Despite these flaws, the Black Widow earned its place in history. Its shortcomings were a reminder that even the most innovative designs come with trade-offs. But in the hands of its determined crews, the Widow turned those challenges into triumphs. When the guns fell silent, the P-61 Black Widow faced an uncertain future. It had arrived too late to fully flex its potential during World War II, but peace didn't mean the end of its story. Instead, the Widow transitioned into new roles, proving its value in unexpected ways. One of the most fascinating chapters in the Widow's post-war legacy was its contribution to meteorology. Under Operation Thunderstorm, the P-61 became a flying laboratory, studying the anatomy of thunderstorms. Its sturdy frame and advanced radar made it ideal for venturing into stormy skies, collecting data that revolutionized our understanding of severe weather. This work laid the foundation for modern storm forecasting, turning the Widow into an unlikely hero of civilian aviation safety. The Widow also lent its expertise to other scientific endeavors, collaborating with the Weather Bureau, Navy, and what would later become NASA. It played a pivotal role in research that pushed the boundaries of aviation and atmospheric science. From tracking weather patterns to studying turbulence, the Widow became a pioneer of peaceful skies. But even as it forged a new identity, the Widow couldn't escape the march of progress. By the early 1950s, faster jets and more advanced radar systems rendered the P-61 obsolete. It was officially retired in 1954, its remaining airframes either scrapped or repurposed. Despite its relatively short service life, the Black Widow left an enduring legacy. It was a testament to innovation, proving that a small company like Northrop could create something extraordinary. Its radar and stealth technologies paved the way for modern night fighters, influencing designs that would dominate future conflicts. Today, the P-61 Black Widow is celebrated as a symbol of resilience and ingenuity. Only a handful of these legendary planes survive in museums, where they stand as silent witnesses to a time when the night sky belonged to the daring. Whether prowling for enemy bombers or chasing storms, the Widow's legacy is one of transformation, proving that even in retirement, it could still soar to new heights. The P-61 Black Widow wasn't just a plane, it was a game changer, prowling the skies with unmatched power and stealth. If you love this dive into aviation history, hit that like button, subscribe for more incredible stories, and drop a comment with your favorite World War II aircraft. See you in the skies!